How appropriate to wake up to a creepy field filled with hundreds and hundreds of creepy cobwebs, spider webs, and trees filled with the same. After the terrifying night my beautiful bride and I had last night. Exhibit A. Shut up, Roger. Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to Homesteading Off the Grid. Whew, guys, I've been telling too many ghost stories here lately, and I've been creeping myself out. So Dearly and I, my beautiful bride and myself, we survived a pretty terrifying night last night. We just made it through, and Daniel is involved too, as a family. One of the rites of passage that we all must go through. We all survived, and that is that Daniel, our little boy, had his very first sleepover ever at someone else's house. And he's in second grade. He's 7. I know a lot of kids do that earlier than that. He was invited before, but it turned out he ended up being sick on the previous invite. So this was the first time he's ever spent away from the house, away from us. Now, not away from me, because there were times, you know, I spent 6 months away from him and Dearly when I came back to the U.S. to get back on the radar, process her paperwork to bring her here legally, which we did. So I've been apart from them before. Dearly and Daniel had never spent a single night apart in his lifetime. He's 7, he'll be 8 here in several months. So okay, that was terrifying in and of itself, and that was rough. We made it through. Dearly was sad. Daniel didn't care. We took him to his friend's house, and he just ran off with the other boys. It was like a birthday party, slumber party type thing. He just ran off with the other boys, and we know the parents are good people, safe environment. Daniel didn't care. Dearly, oh my gosh, she was like depressed. So we thought we'd make the most of it. And trust me, if I'm looking behind me in these woods, I'm not paranoid. You saw Exhibit A. So I say, okay, Dearly, it's okay. We'll just watch scary movies all night because it's Halloween, right? Halloween season. It's still first part of October. So I said, let me go up here to the campground and tell a ghost story. I got a really good one. You know, the story I call The Hinge, about a story passed on to me from a woman I interviewed while I was doing research for my novel From the Graves of Babes. Guys, if you're into ghost stories, you've got to go check out our playlist called Ghost Stories because they're starting to add up. So I come up here last night, right? By the time I leave here, it's turning dark. And if you saw that video, you know I was hearing things in the woods, and I'm like looking around. That wasn't an act. I mean, yeah, I set up some decorations with the jack-o'-lantern and the spooky LED candle that changes colors that our friends Gary and Lori gave us, by the way. Thanks, Gary and Lori, for that candle. But when I'm looking around here, because I'm hearing stuff, that's not an act. That's real. So I was hearing something in the woods last night, right behind me. And that story was very creepy about, you know, a ghost coming back from the grave to take something that some grave robbers had taken from its grave. So I get down to the house right at dark. I'm scared from the story. We upload the video. We watch it because it's only like 10 minutes long. We watched Psycho Part 3 last October. You know, Dearly didn't grow up with these movies. She grew up in the Philippines, and the culture is just so different. They celebrate Halloween. They don't celebrate Halloween. They say they do. What they celebrate is the Day of the Dead, which is November 1. If you say Halloween, you know, October 31st, they say, no, Halloween, November 1. And they sit around in graveyards. And this is a Spanish tradition. They do this throughout Latin American countries also. They'll spend the night and the day in a cemetery with their loved ones. You know, this is the third day. You got All Hallows Eve, Halloween, then the Day of the Dead, which is the third day in which the dead return to the graves. That's the day that in the Philippines they celebrate. We celebrate the day before. Trick or treat. It's been commercialized, of course, as all things American holidays have been commercialized because, hey, we can make money, right? Somebody can. So I love Halloween, though. I love it. I love the costumes, the candy, the trick-or-treating. And I missed that when I lived over there for all those years. But they'll take food to the graveyards. They take booze to the graveyards. They drink, they eat, and they hang out at the grave sites of their deceased loved ones. And then they go home the next day. So anyway, she didn't grow up watching like the Halloween movie series. So last October, we watched all the Halloweens from part 1 all the way to Halloween H2O. And this year we are going to get a babysitter so we can go to the theater and see the new Halloween, whatever, the one, you know, where Jamie Lee Curtis is like 118 years old and she's got to kill her brother Michael Myers for the 15,000th time. I don't know. Maybe she's going to chop him up and send him back into outer space. I don't know. So anyway, no disrespect to Jamie Lee Curtis. She's a great actress. I was trying to be facetious there about these sequels. She's a beautiful woman and she's ageless. I mean, she's probably 60-something, and she's gorgeous. So there's my shout-out to Jamie Lee Curtis. Not that she'd ever watch these. So anyway, we watch My Ghost Story. That creeps us out. Okay, so then we start to play Psycho 2. Just shortly into the movie, I'm like, honey, I got to pay the water bill. You guys know what that means. So I pause the video. I go out onto the front porch because this, I mean, it might sound kind of gross, but I live out in the country, out in the middle of nowhere, and I like to go outside and pay the water bill and get some fresh air. So I step out on the front porch and I just get hit in the face with this overwhelming musk scent. And I'm like, my first thought is, that bear's out here somewhere. I might be taking a leak on a bear. You know, it's pitch black dark. He or she, we got like this 300-pound bear running around here. We haven't seen her. I think it's a big sow. We haven't seen her for a couple of months because I've been shutting the trash up in the garage. But as you can see from the beginning of this video, Exhibit A, I obviously forgot to do that. It's not I didn't forget. I got that new little trailer I haul behind my lawn tractor, and I was running around playing with that yesterday. Took Daniel around for a ride for like almost an hour, like doing a hayride thing. Then I've been, you know, I hauled some wood up here, chopping block, so I didn't take it off. I parked it in the garage. I just didn't shut the garage door because I didn't have room to put the trash can in. I just didn't take the time to do it, is what it is. And I was kind of creeped out because something was walking around up here in the woods behind me while I was telling that ghost story. So I'm out there on the porch taking a leak, and I smell this musk scent. And there's Cleopatra, which you saw there earlier, inside the house, and she wouldn't come out. And her tail was wagging like that back and forth. And I was like, okay, I better get inside. So I go inside, shut the door, lock it. We watch our movie. It's terrifying. Movie goes off. Dearly still can't sleep. She's sad because Daniel's at a slumber party. So we start watching another. It was one of those 80 B-budget horror type things. It was called Night of the Demons or something. We turned that thing off before we were even too far into it. You remember the movies from the 80s, the slasher films. It was all about softcore, you know what. And we were like, this is garbage. There's no storyline here. It's just scantily clad women. So whatever. So we're laying in bed, trying to sleep. I was tired because I've been working all day out here, and it wasn't my first night away from Daniel, and so I start going to sleep. Dearly can't sleep, and then we start hearing this banging, snocking around out in the garage, and we're sleeping with the window open because the weather here is gorgeous this time of year. We're setting record highs throughout the day here in Central Virginia. It's still getting up into the mid-80s, even though it's, as of this recording, October 7. But at night, it's not cold, it's not hot. It's like the perfect sleep temperatures to sleep with the windows open. So the windows open, we're smelling this musk scent, we're hearing banging. And you know what I start thinking of? I start thinking about the daggone story I told 3 nights ago here on the channel about hunting Bigfoot in the Philippines and running into the Capri. You remember that story? Did you see that? It's in that playlist. So I'm there. I'm like, oh, great. Here it is. Me and Dearly alone in a cabin type setting. I mean, we've got this old farmhouse way out here in the middle of nowhere. It's funny. There's this wonderful place up the road called Graves Mountain Lodge in Madison County. We've got some subscribers on here from Madison County, so they know what I'm talking about. You can go up there and you can rent an old archaic house out in the middle of the woods. nobody else is around you, and they bring you firewood, and you can, I think it's like $120 a night. And we were on the website one time thinking about doing that, and we looked at each other and we were like, why would we do that? That's like where we live. And so it's great. It's like every night it's like we're camping out in this old rustic house. But it's not so cool when you're smelling that musk scent, you're hearing some banging around, and it goes on like for quite a while. So just like that night on the Isle of Capri, well, it's Samal, which, you know, inspired the novel Isle of Capri. It finally subsides, goes away. We finally get some sleep, and I wake up this morning with a big old mess in my yard I've got to clean up. So I get online this morning just briefly while I'm drinking my coffee, getting ready to come up here and do the morning ramble. And thank you each and everybody who's been watching these. Viewership's down. I don't know. A lot of folks say that you haven't been getting the notifications. So if you're watching this, it's probably because you come to our channel to see if we've uploaded new videos. Thank you from the bottom of our hearts, because you're our solid base foundation. Who I enjoy doing this anyway. I'm looking at birds. You know, I'm like manic or ADHD, whatever it is. But I enjoy doing this anyway. But it makes it worth doing, knowing that you're actually looking to see if I'm doing it, and then you're watching what I do. So thank you very much. So, but I read in the comments, some guy said, have you ever had any experiences with Bigfoot there where you live in Central Virginia? And I'm thinking, wow, you know, how ironic about what happened last night. So my question to that gentleman is, I don't know. Have I? How do I explain the terrifying events of last night here with me and my wife? Missing our son, worried. Well, I'm not worried. Just, you know, that feeling you get if you're a parent, the first time your child spends the night away from you. And dearly really struggle with that. But she's awake this morning. I'm getting ready to go down there and make her coffee. I turned it on just before I came up here to talk to myself and you wonderful folks for a few minutes. Was it a bear? Should I be a little more leery when I come up here at night and tell these ghost stories here for the month of October? You decide. Mwah-ha-ha-ha-ha-ha. We'll see you for more next time here at Homesteading Off the Grid. Thanks for being here with us. And look what I almost forgot. The sun rising up over my homestead through fog in the mountains on this glorious October morning.